I was in a shop and they had BBC Radio 4 on, and I think it was supposed to be a drama dressed up as news. One of the commentators said, "Oh, no one's even heard of the Chagos Islands a few months ago." Well, there's a lot of truth in that. A lot of people haven't. But Chagos has been in the news, and it has been there for quite some time. I remember Cam Dale used to raise it pretty much every week in Parliament. When we broke up administrative regions at the end of Empire, we split the Chagos from Mauritius, and we gave Mauritius their freedom. They went off and celebrated. We paid them for that privilege as a little side deal. And then we realised it'd be really good to put a military base on the Chagos Islands, where they're in a spectacularly good location, far too far away from anyone for them to spy on it effectively, just about large enough to put a base on. And then you can put a port, you can put an air base, you could get submarines and ships and bombers and reconnaissance planes. And out of sight of everyone, you can easily fly to anywhere in the Middle East, East Africa, Asia. You've got the whole ocean around you, easy access, and no one can really see what you're doing. The Americans loved it and they built a huge base there, Diego Garcia. If you've seen bombing raids in the Middle East or in Afghanistan, there's a pretty good chance that you saw them having taken off from Diego Garcia. And at the same time as the Air Force Base, which is very famous, there's a large and effective port for ships and submarines. Well, the Americans pay us handsomely for this, and it helps secure world peace, whether you like that or not. We live in a dangerous world, much as we like to think everyone wants to live together in peace. America and China are both lining up and vying for world supremacy. And at some point, they will have to rub up against each other on issues. And be able to hold one at arm's length is actually good for everybody. Chinese have spent much of the last decade trying to build weapons that can specifically reach Diego Garcia. But don't worry, you don't need to waste that money. Keir Starmer's here to help. Because in the meantime, all those people we treated badly, turfed off their ancestral land, shot their dog, put them and their possessions on a boat and sent them to Mauritius. But when they arrived in Mauritius, they weren't Mauritian. There's a bit of a clue there that Chagos Islands it doesn't belong to Mauritius. But Mauritius needs money. They've got things like tourism, but really they could do with some big fat wads of sweaty cash. So they start begging, they don't get enough, they start pushing, and they hire Keir Starmer's buddy from law school. With a little bit more prodding and pushing and eloquence, the Islington set get to change the world. Well, great. Yes, there was a case that found against Britain in principle, but we could easily have thumbed our nose at that. It wasn't that we had to get rid of it, had to give it away, and certainly not that we had to pay compensation for it. So, what does Labour do the second they get in? They try and rush through a deal to pay Mauritius for taking an island which isn't Mauritian, and it seems didn't consult Chagossians, who mainly live in England now because they were treated so badly in Mauritius, and didn't offer them a right to go home, didn't offer them any repatriation, didn't even let them visits to see their land. No, no, don't write that wrong. Just give it away. No, give it away is not enough. Let's pay for the privilege. He must be a very good lawyer, Piers, mate. Maybe he should have run for Prime Minister. But Trump's coming. Well, let's rush it through, push it through, do it so fast that we don't have time to show the opposition deal. But the Mauritians seem to have been too greedy to push a deal through. They wanted more, they wanted more. So what do? Now we're pushing again. And finally, it looks like the Conservatives got a view of the deal, and we're going to pay £90 million a year for the next 99 years for the right to have a military base there. So we're renting back our land. And if you think it's not our land, well, it's the Chagossians' land and they're not living there and no one's getting them a return. So really, it's their land, and if they're not allowed to exercise that right, it's ours. Well, our pensioners can't be warm this winter, we can't afford it. But we can afford to pay a foreign country compensation for giving them back land which isn't theirs. What a sad state of affairs. No wonder we don't say Great Britain very often, Dave.